Prior to the NBA season, we all had our general idea of the true contenders in the NBA. Teams like the Bucks, the Celtics, the Nuggets were a given. Those are teams who we all thought had a chance to be the last team standing come June. You might even put teams like the Lakers, the Kings, the Cavs in that conversation as well. But now that we're nearing towards the halfway point of the season, the NBA standings look a little bit different than I think we all envisioned. They aren't quite what we thought they would be. For starters, the Lakers are the 10th seed in the West and are fighting for a play-in spot once again. If I would have told you over the summer that the Lakers would be the 10th seed in the West and once again fighting for a play-in spot, a lot of y'all would have probably looked at me crazy and said I didn't know what I was talking about. But here we are in January, and that's exactly what happened. They're a 10 seed, and they're fighting for a play-in spot. But of course, teams like the Bucks and the Celtics are top seeds in their conference. The Heat are as well, and the Nuggets are a top seed in their conference too. They're the 3rd seed, but above them is a team that I don't think anybody was expecting to blossom to the 2nd seed in the West that fast. And that team is one that you could have seen coming. They had been in talks and had built up a plethora of young talent throughout the years. And that team is none other than the Oklahoma City Thunder. Despite all of this young capital they have built up, this is still a pretty young team, which makes this surprising for a multitude of reasons. For one, we all knew that OKC had the potential to be great one day. But in the offseason, to a lot of people, it was still a matter of one day. You see, this OKC roster is still relatively young. I mean, their best player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is only 25 years old. On top of that, it's rare that a young team sees success this early on into their rebuild, but I guess the Thunder aren't your typical young team. For years, the Thunder were the poster team for taking. Sam Presti would stack picks on top of picks while giving up older contracts or taking on expiring contracts. This method allowed him to place his franchise into a pretty favorable position in the draft and the NBA in general. Some key moves he made was one, acquiring Shai Gilgeous from the Clippers in that Paul George trade. And with those picks he acquired in that trade, he used to draft phenomenal complementary pieces like Chet Holmgren, Aaron Wiggins, and Jaylen Williams. His usage of these picks allowed the Thunder to be a resting giant in the league. But let's take a deeper dive into some of these players that I just mentioned. Now, the first and undoubtedly the most notable pick that Sam Presti made was none other than Chet Holmgren out of Gonzaga. Now, Chet Holmgren was a very highly anticipated rookie coming out of Gonzaga. He was supposed to make his debut last season, but he was sidelined due to an injury. So going into this season, the hype had grown even more, and he was once again under a lot of hype and pressure, and people were very excited to see his debut for the 2023-2024 season after being silent with that injury. Now, Chet is someone who stands at 7'1", but he also has a plethora of guard-like skills. Holmgren's size and physicality also addressed a deficiency in OKC's roster. His presence has improved the team's rebounding rate and their defensive performance by a significant amount. And despite size concerns, he has excelled as a help and paint defender this year, despite being his first season of real NBA action. Chet is having a rookie season for the books. He's averaging 17.7 points per game, getting 7.3 rebounds per game, and blocking an astounding 2.5 shots a game, all on 55.5% field goal percentage. These are phenomenal averages for any player, but especially for a rookie. And I think he'll probably end up as the second best, or dare I say, maybe even the best player on this Thunder's team. The second pick is none other than Jaylen Williams. Now, Jaylen Williams has been a very key piece to OKC for a multitude of reasons. The first one being his efficient scoring. Williams has been great when it comes to putting up efficient numbers, and his ability to play within the flow of the offense without being the number one option is amazing for this OKC roster. He has averaged 14.1 points per game on 52.1% shooting. This shows his effectiveness in finding high quality scoring opportunities and making the most of them, which is important when you're not the number one or number two scoring option on the team. In addition to his scoring, Williams has also made significant contributions in other areas of the game. He averages 4.5 rebounds per game and 3.3 assists per game. This demonstrates his versatility and his ability to impact the game in a multitude of ways. Now, these numbers and his performance is already impressive enough, but I have the belief that Williams has the potential to further improve and possibly become a borderline all-star player. And then given his age and skill set, I view him as a very promising player who can continue to develop and make a significant impact on the court and stay an integral part of their core. And on top of these two guys, you have players like Lou Dort, Aaron Wiggins, and recent draft pick Cason Wallace, who have all had huge impacts for this team at some point in this season or in their entire careers. Now, with all that being said, there is still the question, why are the Thunder performing so well this year? Well, it's quite simple. The first thing is their strong start to the season. The Thunder had a phenomenal start to the season. The night before a huge lopsided win over Portland, they defeated the Miami Heat in a 128-120 game on the road, which improved its record to 25-11. That marked the Thunder's best 36-game start since 2015-2016, when they had two other young stars on their roster named Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook. And that season, they led that team to the Western Conference Finals. On top of that, this season has been defined by very resilient play from a young team. This is something you don't see from young teams that often, but I think this just shows that although they are young, they're a very mature team. Despite being one of the younger teams in the NBA, the Thunder have shown resilience and solid play on both ends of the court. They have been successful in close games and have displayed great amounts of unselfish basketball. This has contributed to their early success and indicates their ability to compete. Then, of course, you have their young superstar, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who has been performing exceptionally well once again this season. This season, his averages are out of this world. He's averaging 31.3 points per game, with 6.3 assists per game and 2.3 steals per game to go along with that. On top of that, he's shooting a phenomenal 55.6 field goal percentage. On top of these two facts right here, the addition of Chet Holmgren has bolstered the Thunder's defense, which potentially turns them into an elite defensive team. This improvement on the defensive end has been a huge reason why they have seen such great success. Their Rookie of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year candidate has been instrumental for them on that side of the court. But of course, for every pair of stars, a team needs a solid supporting cast that surrounds them, and the Thunder have just that. The Thunder have a very deep supporting cast, including recent lottery picks and undrafted free agents who have been performing well. Players like Cason Wallace, Jaylen Williams, Lou Dort, and Kenrich Williams have provided valuable contributions. This depth has allowed the team to maintain a high level of play and overcome challenges, which is very pivotal in today's NBA. Now, the Thunder's performance this season should not be overlooked by anyone. Every time I watch this team, they look like a team that can give other contenders fits. Now, no one will know whether or not they are true contenders until May hits, but if they're able to perform the same way they are now in May, they're a team that must be taken serious by the entire NBA. But these are, of course, just my thoughts on this team. Let me know how you guys feel about the Thunders down below. But that's all I have for now. And until next time, peace.